Hi, I'm Annie Warmke at Blue Rock Station, and today we're going to talk about something really fascinating, and that is composting toilets, all the way from how do we build them to how do we use them. And behind me is the main composting toilet at Blue Rock Station, which is called the Privy with the $1 Million View. And the reason for that is because it has a $1 Million view, and I'm going to show you in a minute. But first I'd like to talk about the building itself. How did we decide where to put the building? We needed to have a public toilet because we have a lot of people that come to visit, and we were renting a toilet, but it's not very sustainable to operate that way. So I said, let's figure out where would we have a really great view, because when you're at the toilet, you're totally captivated by whatever's in front of you. And so I also needed to convince Jay, who is my husband and partner at Blue Rock Station, where that should be. So I took a chair, we went around and sat in different locations that I had thought about, and I would sit on his lap and we would check out the view, but we kept coming back to this one, and that's where we built the Privy. So the Privy itself is built with straw bales, and it sits on a rammed earth tire foundation, and rammed earth tires are something that we've used in many of the buildings here. That's pretty cool because it doesn't present a problem with water and so forth. Then we also built what's called a living or vegetated roof on top, because I was concerned that maybe there would be a reflection from the sun back into the house if we had some kind of metal roof. And we also wanted to demonstrate that we could grow food and also change the temperature of a building just by having that little bit of vegetated roof. Some of the challenges that we had, though, in the beginning was the roof does drip, which it's doing right now because we've had a lot of rain, but mostly it does not. It collects the water and it holds it and feeds the vegetation there. But when it did drip before, it would bounce onto the ground and splat onto the wall. So we used a technique that we learned from an Argentinian contractor that I'm a big fan of, and he created what's called elephant feet. And so we built the elephant feet by placing rocks. First we had to rip the wall all out again, all the straw bale and everything, and we just ground that up and reused it in the wall again. And we wanted to make some more whimsy, so we got some driftwood down at the river, and we created a tree. And so we like it, but you'll see the elephant feet, it's taking rocks and building out the bottom, so when there is a drip, the drip goes away from the building instead of into the building. So we have a grade school slide ladder, because one time I was on top of the roof doing some plantings and the ladder blew down and I was by myself and I had to stay there quite a number of hours waiting for everybody to come home. So my mama didn't raise no fool, we got this ladder. So let's come around to the front and see what the composting toilet looks like. So the first thing to know about the toilet and using the toilet is that you want to have a little bit of an insurance policy, because there are a lot of people at Blue Rock Station, and so we have what we call the insurance policy flag. And so if you come down to use the toilet, you put the flag down, and in Jay's humor, he's written occupied in 3 languages, and then also a made-up aquapupu, which is Jay's humor. And this is great because then if you're not thinking and you're walking down, you just bump into this and you hear somebody go, hey, somebody's in here, and that's the insurance policy. So one of the challenges that we have is there's a lot of wind at this site in the wintertime, and it kept blowing the door off the toilet. And so Jay said 3 times, and that's the end of building doors. So we said, hey, let's just enjoy the toilet and the view with nothing in front of you. But we needed to honor the fact that lots of Americans and many visitors that come here are a little bit hung up about no door on the toilet. And they're already shocked by the composting toilet. So each year we grow some hops vines that come across, and they do cover up. When people are around, you can't really see, and it looks pretty, and people feel a little bit better about the fact that there's no door. So now we're going to look at the composting toilet, which is very cool. So this is a Sunmar commercial toilet. I don't know about the toilet that you have in your home, but this toilet in 1996 cost $1,500, which is, in my mind, quite expensive. But it's made for a cabin for 2 or 3 people. So when we have a lot of people, we have to be mindful of how we're using it. And one of the cool things about living the way we do and also having composting toilets is you got to know what's going on. You can't just, flush it and it's gone and out of sight, out of mind, and you don't know what happens to it. So when we have a lot of guests, we have another composting toilet in another location, and sometimes we also set up a humanure bucket so that we're sure that we capture all the waste and we don't waste the waste, and also we don't overcome the toilet with too much urine. Another challenge of the toilet is too many chemicals, so people sometimes take a lot of medication. We don't have that problem here. But if we have a lot of guests, one of the good things is we say dilution's the solution. And so there's a lot of other fiber going into the toilet, a lot of other material. And so we can mix all that up and it ends up in the final bin for the composting, and it's not a problem. The toilet is really simple in how it works. It needs to have a way to aerate so that the methane that's coming off of the barrel that's decomposing the material has the ability to leave the building. The toilet itself always smells really great, a very nice, sweet, earthy smell. If it does not smell that way, that's an immediate sign that there's a problem. Usually it's a mouse that gets in there and makes a bad choice about location for a nest and stops it up. And then we have a shop vac that deals with liquid, and we can come down, put the shop vac in, empty out the drawer that's underneath, and take care of whatever debris that the mouse has created, usually with nuts and things like that. So that's really the only thing that ever stops it up. One time I did mess up, and I was turning the material that's down in the final composting bin, and I had a pitchfork and I actually poked a hole, which I didn't realize, in the hose where all of the effluent, all of the runoff comes through, and that was not good. It made quite a mess, so I had to fix that. But other than that, it works really great. In the winter, when it's super cold, we always try to empty the barrel, not completely, because you still need some material in there for the compost to work effectively, the microbes and everything, but we'll empty a lot of it because the barrel will freeze and we can't turn it. So if we don't have it fairly empty, we can't keep using it. So one of the really important parts of using the toilet is that you need lots of fiber. And the fiber has to come from something very specific. It can't be like peat moss or sand or anything like that. It needs to be wood chips that are really pretty fibrous. And that's great because once you put the fiber in there and you turn the drawer, that creates some aeration, which you need to break down the material. And then it also helps to heat up the material so it breaks down more quickly. And the most important thing, at least for me, is that when you get ready to empty the barrel, you have really nice compost versus some clods, and so it all works perfectly. The toilet, when you turn the barrel the opposite way, dumps the material, the composted material, down into a drawer that you pull out and you can take and put wherever you need it to be. So I'm going to show you how it works. So first of all, we're going to dump the material into the toilet, and then I'm going to show you how you use it. So we're going to put 2 or 3 scoops in, but we're just demonstrating right now, so we don't have to do that. And it's that simple. And we want to do it 3 or 4 times because what's happening when we're turning that barrel is the barrel is pushing the material that's just been deposited into the back of it, and that's where most of the decomposing is going to happen. Now we're on the back side of the toilet, and what I want to do is explain a little bit about what happens to the runoff, or what they call the effluent, that comes out of the composting barrel, because the barrel is only going to retain the solid material, so the urine and everything has to go somewhere. Well, it goes through the material in the barrel, and then it comes out this tube, and that tube comes down into a huge composting kitchen composting container that holds 3 huge Rubbermaid bins. I don't know how many gallons they are, maybe 60 or 70 gallons. And that effluent, which is liquid, can wander through those barrels, but there's no way it's ever going to get to the end. So it's really a closed system. So from the beginning of making the deposit to the end when we have the material, it's all closed in and all perfectly safe. So maybe you're wondering, what's the longevity, what's the sustainability of a building like this and a toilet like this? And so I just want to say that this building and the toilet are about 14 years old, and everything's done just fine. And we did have a problem with the drainage, but we fixed that and it's working great now as far as making the elephant feet at the bottom, so we changed the splat pattern. The other thing is we love this toilet as far as the view. We've learned a lot about nature. It's just really a great thing, and not in the dead of winter, but most of the time to come and be sitting outside, answering the call of nature, as they say. It's great. I've learned lots about different kinds of bees and hummingbirds just by sitting among nature and having it happen around me when I've got nothing else to look at. The other thing is, let's say you really are interested in making something similar, and I encourage you to do that and to consider it. And so there are lots of booklets and books out there and YouTube videos, but we can offer that Blue Rock Station also has a booklet on how to build a small straw bale structure like this, and also how to build rammed earth tire walls to make a structure like this. All of us should be soil farmers, and I consider myself to be first and foremost, beyond anything else that I do in farming, to be a soil farmer. And composting toilets allow us to do that at the really best level. So even though we're gathering the material, it's not because we have nowhere for it to go. We're saying, look, it's a resource. So the 2 composting toilets we have and the humanure bucket we use in the house for bad weather give us somewhere between 800 and 1,000 gallons of composted material each year. And that's material that in another situation in a building might just be thrown out and end up in some place where it's going to be treated as effluent. So we feel like it's a really valuable resource for our gardens. We had a doctor who was here that was an intern, and he did some studies to prove that humanure waste is really valuable and it's fine to use it. And so we let it compost for a period of time. It might be 6 months, it might be a year. I don't think we pay that close of attention. And then we put it in different places where we're going to grow things. It's very acidic in the beginning, and so it needs to be mixed with other material. And remember, I said earlier, dilution's the solution to lots of things, and in this case, that's a really good principle. So composting toilets are a great resource. I hope you check them out.